Jack and the Mermaid. Once upon a time, in a small coastal village, there lived a fisherman named Jack. Jack had been fishing for as long as he could remember, and he had always loved the sea. Every day, he would wake up before dawn and set out in his small boat, hoping to catch enough fish to feed his family and sell at the market. One day, as Jack was casting his net into the water, he heard a strange sound. It was a beautiful, haunting melody, unlike anything he had ever heard before. He looked around, but he could see nothing unusual. The sound seemed to be coming from the water itself. Jack was curious, and he decided to investigate. He rowed his boat closer to the source of the sound, and as he did so, he saw a figure in the water. It was a mermaid. Jack had heard stories of mermaids, but he had never seen one before. He was amazed by her beauty. She had long, flowing hair the color of seaweed, and her tail shimmered in the sunlight. She smiled at him, and he felt a strange sense of peace. For a moment, Jack forgot about his fishing. He just sat there, staring at the mermaid. Then, suddenly, she disappeared beneath the waves. Jack returned to his village, but he couldn't stop thinking about the mermaid. He told his family and friends about what he had seen, but they didn't believe him. They thought he had been dreaming or that he was making it up. But Jack knew what he had seen, and he couldn't forget about it. He continued to fish, but every day, he would look out at the water, hoping to catch another glimpse of the mermaid. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Jack began to think that he would never see the mermaid again. But then, one day, as he was casting his net, he heard the same haunting melody. He looked around, and there she was. The mermaid was swimming towards him, and he could see that she was holding something in her hand. As she got closer, he saw that it was a beautiful pearl. The mermaid smiled at Jack and held out the pearl. Jack didn't know what to do. He had heard stories of mermaids luring sailors to their deaths, but he didn't feel afraid. He felt drawn to her. He reached out to take the pearl, but as he did so, the mermaid disappeared beneath the waves again. Jack was left alone with the pearl in his hand. He couldn't believe what had just happened. He had heard stories of mermaids luring sailors to their deaths, but he didn't feel afraid. He felt drawn to her. He returned to his village with the pearl, and he showed it to his family and friends. They were amazed by its beauty, and they couldn't believe that Jack had managed to catch it. Jack knew that it was a gift from the mermaid, and he treasured it more than anything else he had ever caught. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Jack continued to fish, but he couldn't stop thinking about the mermaid. He wanted to see her again, to talk to her, to find out more about her. One day, as he was fishing, he heard the same haunting melody. He looked around, and there she was. The mermaid was swimming towards him, and this time, she didn't disappear. "Hello, Jack," she said, smiling at him. Jack was surprised. He had never heard a mermaid speak before. "Hello," he said, unsure of what to say. "I've been watching you," the mermaid said. "I've seen how much you love the sea, how much you love to fish. I want to help you." Jack was confused. "Help me? How?" "I can show you where the biggest fish are," the mermaid said. "I can guide you to the best fishing spots. All you have to do is promise me one thing." "What's that?" Jack asked. "You must promise never to tell anyone about me," the mermaid said. "No one must ever know that I exist. If you break your promise, I will never help you again." Jack thought about it for a moment. He knew that he could trust the mermaid. "I promise," he said. And so, the mermaid began to guide Jack to the best fishing spots. She showed him where the biggest fish were, where the currents were strongest, where the water was clearest. Jack caught more fish than he ever had before, and he became the most successful fisherman in the village. But he never forgot his promise to the mermaid. He never told anyone about her, not even his family or friends. He treasured the pearl she had given him. And he continued to fish with her guidance for many years. And so, the fisherman and the mermaid became unlikely friends. They shared a special bond, a bond that could never be broken. Jack knew that the mermaid was a magical creature, and he felt honored that she had chosen to help him. Years passed, and Jack grew old. He could no longer fish as he used to, and he knew that his time was running out. He wanted to see the mermaid one last time, to thank her for all that she had done for him. He went to the spot where he had first seen her, and he waited. And then he heard the familiar melody. The mermaid appeared before him and she smiled. "Hello, Jack," she said. "Hello," Jack said, tears in his eyes. "I wanted to thank you for everything you've done for me. Without you, I would never have become the fisherman I am today." The mermaid smiled. "You don't have to thank me, Jack. It was my pleasure to help you. You have been a good friend to me, and I will always remember you." And with that, the mermaid disappeared into the sea. Jack knew that he would never see her again. But he was grateful for the time they had spent together. He returned to his village, and he told his family and friends about the mermaid. They didn't believe him, of course, but he didn't care. He knew that the mermaid was real, and he knew that he would never forget her. Years turned into decades, and Jack passed away. But his legacy lived on. The people of the village remembered him as the greatest fisherman who had ever lived, and they told stories about the mermaid who had helped him. And so, the legend of Jack and the mermaid lived on. A testament to the power of friendship and the magic of the sea.